I don't know if this was part of that prophecy, but it feels like it's an echo of a prophecy that you were given in that season of time.
And I'm realizing that God has placed stuff in my life. So that's been really good. So your interpretations, I'm just piecing them together in my mind. So it makes a lot of.
What if you're living in a warehouse and people start showing up and buying all your stuff? Today, we're going to dive into and find the hidden meaning of this dream. This is Dreams Unwrapped, and I'm Tina Winters.
When deep sleep falls on you, there's a world of dreams waiting to be unwrapped. It's a puzzle waiting to be solved, a dream unfolding, a parable of the night.
Join us on a journey to unwrap the mysterious messages found in divinely inspired dreams. This is Dreams Unwrapped.
All right, I'm going to introduce to you the team, the dream team we've got. First, we got the fantabulous Faith Frankenfield.
Hi, everyone.
And then, of course, we have the rockin' Sebastian Son.
Howdy.
And of course, the Fisher of Men, Tom Schwave.
Hey, welcome.
And you know why I'm saying that? It's because Tom has always gone fishing. That's right. Some people are having a good time during COVID. Hey, I'm really excited today because we have our first Dream Master joining us tonight, Mr. John Thomas.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
John has co-authored The Art of Praying Scriptures with John Paul Jackson, and he's also written courses on prophetic ministry, dream interpretation, and the kingdom of God. He is president of Streams Ministry and ministers internationally to help restore the awe of God to a world that has lost its wonder. If you want to know more about Streams Ministry, we will have that information up at the end of this episode. So welcome, John.
Thank you.
Before we bring in the dreamer, we would love to hear about your ministry and what's been happening in your world.
Yeah. Well, it's been an interesting season with everything that's going on. Obviously, we're doing a lot of things on Zoom and virtually. We equip the body of Christ to understand what it is that God is saying. It's one thing to be able to hear his voice, and we need to delve deep into hearing his voice. But when we can begin to understand the mysteries of what he's saying, everything changes, because God is guiding us into the purpose that we were created for. And we want to help people discover what that purpose is and step into it, because the world is desperate for real answers to the questions that we're facing, but we're actually the answers that God has given us. So that's what we do.
That's awesome. And I just wanted to mention that coming from Streams Ministry, we all met through John Paul Jackson and his classes, and we all took the classes at Institute of Spiritual Development, met each other there, and just wanted to say that we think of John Paul often, and although he's gone to be with the Lord, we really miss him, but we're super happy that you kept his legacy going by continuing his work at Streams Ministry. So thank you again for joining us. We're over the moon that you are here. Do you get it? Like moon, stars, dreams. Anyways.
I think it's really exciting to see how God is taking what John Paul started and using it around the world. I mean, what you guys are able to do, taking the teachings that he brought, because part of the impetus behind what we do, and John Paul even teaching the courses, was this engagement that he had with a leader that was really impressed with a dream that John Paul had interpreted. And he's like, wow, that's amazing. How did you do that? And John Paul's like, well, it was God. And he's like, yeah, I understand it was God, but how did you do it? After 2 or 3 times, John Paul realized that he wasn't asking whether or not it was God. He was trying to ask what the process was that he used to hear what God was saying was the interpretation of the dream. He realized he had no idea at all. And so he tells the guy, I don't know how I did that. And the guy looks at John Paul and says, wow, that is so sad, because that means your gift is going to die with you. And he started this journey to study dream interpretation, to study the gift that God had given him, to understand it, going through the dreams of scripture and finding ways to teach other people. And he ended up teaching thousands of people. And each year, I mean, we're teaching thousands of people, and seeing the fruit of that encouragement. His gift didn't die with him.
No.
And that is amazing, because we get to carry that. You guys are carrying that and taking it to another generation that desperately needs to hear what God has released. Because the fun thing is, it's not actually new, even though it kind of seems new, because we're using the same principles that Joseph used over 5,000 years ago, that Daniel used 3,000 years ago, that were used in the New Testament 2,000 years ago, the biblical principles of how God speaks, and just applying them to our day. And we get to step into an inheritance that had been lost but has been restored. And seeing the fruit of that around the world is absolutely astounding.
Absolutely. It makes me think of just that idea of multiplication, of, being able to put hundreds to flight. 2 + 2 = 4, and then those, and so on and so on. And so I feel like what John Paul started, we're able to continue on, and we're equipping other people, and it's multiplying rapidly in a time where we need to hear God more than ever.
Yes.
And people are having dreams, like everywhere. You go to the office, first thing in the morning, I had this weird dream. People are constantly dreaming, but it's like the Creator is completely out there. He's moving and shaking, and he's trying to talk to people, and people are trying to figure out, what is this, and is this, and they're very interested in it. They want to know.
Yeah.
And so who's got the answer to tell them what their dreams mean?
Yeah. Well, the church is intended to be known as answers and solutions, not as problems and questions.
Yes.
And as we become that, it's going to change everything. That's who we're called to be.
Yes.
As things continue to increase, whether it be, I mean, we're going through this situation worldwide right now, where we've got this virus that is affecting almost everybody in the world. Maybe there's some remote tribe somewhere that's not being affected, but it's affecting the known world, and the trauma that has been caused by the fear, by the things that we're going through, trying to figure out how to handle everything that's going on. People's hearts are breaking, and people's hearts are broken, and people are looking for answers. And in the midst of those periods that feel the darkest, that's when the light shines the most. And so you were mentioning earlier about people seeming like people have more dreams. I've talked to a number of people in different places, different countries, as well as different regions of the United States. And people are having more dreams, or at least they're remembering more dreams. Mm-hmm. And God's speaking, and there's answers that are being given. And at the same time, there's a lot of confusion, and there's a lot of soul dreams where people's fears are showing up in their dreams while they sleep, and trying to sort this out. And if we've been given an answer, then we have a responsibility to be able to give that, because we are one race of people. We are all one people, humankind. And as that, we have a responsibility to each other to take whatever gift that we have, whatever understanding that we have that can help others, and use it to bring about good in the world that we live in, bringing about answers to the questions and answers to the fears that people have. Because as we do that, all of us rise to another level. And if we can help point people to the source of hope and help them to recognize that there is hope, especially when they don't feel it,
Yeah.
man, we can change the dynamic in our communities, and the responses of fear and the responses of unrest that have come up could be answered with hope.
Mm-hmm.
And we're brokers of hope, because we know how it's all going to end. We know where hope comes from. And because of that, we can bring the answer that people are looking for. And dreams are just one of those ways that our Creator is speaking in hope and trying to infuse the heart of humanity with hope, because there's an end to what we're going through. And the future on the other side is better than anything that we've seen.
Yes. I love that term, brokers of hope, because that means like we're redistributing something that God already created. It is a responsibility for us to take on.
Yeah.
You know, the people are like, they're like little baby Samuels, you know, they've gone to bed and they're laying there, and all of a sudden they hear their name called, and they get up, and we're the Elis. And they get up and they say, did you call me? Or what's going on? You know, we can't say, go back to bed, just go back to bed, you know, and they have to keep coming and tell, did you say something? Is somebody saying something to me? We have to say, when you lay down, say, I am here, I am listening. What is it you are trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
So good.
Okay, shall we get Miss Jenny Griffith in?
Is she in the waiting room? Okay, awesome.
All right, let me bring Jenny in now.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Jenny. I'd like to introduce to everybody Jenny Griffith. Welcome.
Hi.
Welcome.
So my name is Jenny Griffith, and I have a wonderful husband who is, we've been married together for 26 years, and I have 3 beautiful children. I have a daughter who's 24 and a son who's 21, and then I have a daughter, Emma, who is in heaven. My job, what I love to do is I coach beach volleyball for a university, and it's something that I love. I love caring for the girls. I love speaking life into them and sharing Jesus with them. The reason why I love dream interpretation is that I think it was about 15 years ago, John Paul Jackson, he came into a conference and he called me out and he interpreted one of my dreams and prophesied over me, and it was so right on. It was the first time I knew that God speaks to us directly. And then I started going to a lot of his conferences so I can learn.
One of the first times I heard John Paul speak, Jenny and I were at a conference, but we were sitting separately, and I had never heard of John Paul before, and he called her out to prophesy over her, and I was like, this guy's accurate. He could teach the Bible accurately, and he knows everything about my friend who is sitting all over the way across on the other side of the room. And who is this guy? I want to know what he's all about. But yeah.
That's so cool.
So Jenny, would you like to tell us your dream?
Oh, yes. So I was in small room, and I knew that it was in a larger warehouse, like a very large warehouse that was metal. And I was in a small room with my sister, and we were laying on 2 mattresses, and we were just resting, and the room was a mess. It was absolutely messy. And a man came in, and I asked him, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "I'm looking to purchase something. I'm looking to buy something." And so I got up, and I followed him out to the warehouse, and I noticed there was a ton of people looking all through all of our old stuff, and I was thinking in my mind, like, who told them that I had all this stuff, that we had stuff to sell? And so I was really taken back by that. And then I went back to the little room, the alcove or whatever, and it was completely cleaned up. It was like gorgeous. It had candles, it had plants everywhere. I love plants, and it was just absolutely beautiful. And I knew it was a place that I was going to be able to go often and meet God. And that was my dream. And then I woke up.
Wow, that is a great dream. That's a really good dream. So should we jump right into some of the pieces that are there, because there's so much that is encouraging. Actually, before we brought you on, we were talking about how God is infusing hope into a world that desperately needs it. And I really feel like this dream is for you a real encouragement, because there's aspects of your life that you haven't realized how much it is that you have to give. And you're not going to be doing anything to try to get people to recognize that. You're not going to be doing any advertising. God's going to bring people into your life that are going to recognize that there are things. And it's like there's all these treasures that have been sown into your life in different times. And it's about your family as well, because your sister was there. But it's about you, because you're the one that was interacting and seeing all of this that's going on. And you're going to be giving people treasures and providing people things that they need. They're going to get them to the next place. But in the midst of it, you're not actually going to lose out on that private time. That it's as you resource other people with the good things that God has sown into your life, you're going to have a special place, a special prayer place where you're going to meet with God. It's like the garden from the Song of Songs. It's this walled garden. It's this beautiful place where we get to have sweet, intimate time. And you're going to be able to have that time to come aside and be with him and be in his presence, but at the same time, resource people with the treasures that he's sown into your life. That's amazing.
Wow. That makes me want to cry. That's really good. Wow, thank you. Yeah, I picked that dream because I did feel a lot of peace, and I did feel, I wasn't thinking of hope, but I did feel very hopeful too. Like it's kind of how I was feeling when I had the dream.
Yeah.
That was pretty neat.
It's fun.
And
awesome.
You may feel like you don't have anything of value to offer, but in fact, what you have is unique. It's one of a kind. And that's what people are looking for. They don't want cookie cutter. So, there may need to be some cleaning up and taking yourself out of that small place and out of that comfort zone. But but you dream of a day where you live in a peaceful place, where there's healthy growth with no outside influences, and a place where God lives.
Wow, really good. Thank you.
Kind of was looking through the dream, and I was really noticing too that the closeness you have with is it your sister again?
Yeah.
That
Julia.
closeness between you two, and that I really feel like part of your destiny in life too is going to be uniquely intertwined with something that you both carry that's going to just really really be a great like impact on people when you're together as well. It's almost like you'll be you'll have two team impact sessions on people's lives. They'll come to you and then you'll bring off some things. They'll come to you both and you'll have treasures to give off and she'll have treasures. It's like, two is better than one type thing. double portion on people. They'll be getting hit like with a double portion of like, wow.
Oh.
I just really felt that God created you both together in that dream because you're sharing a room together and also just I think you mentioned like the bed was on the floor too.
Yeah.
So there's like a real humility too in your relationships with each other as well as your life. You're just you have a humble spirit in that, and that's what's really God's really gonna really manifest through you because of you walking in that place as well.
Yeah, that's really good. Thank you.
I wanted to add that like you don't have to rest in the Lord, and that I should rest. Sometimes it's not about working, but it's about resting too, and being able to receive. So that is a skill of its own.
Yeah. Tough skill, but yeah. For me.
Yeah, also like what's coming to my mind too is remember where Jesus was born. He wasn't born in a big, nicely, ordered castle. He was born in a manger, which is a messy place around. Hay and but it was the wise men knew that were drawn to that. They recognized that and they were drawn to that. So yeah, you may seem like your life's not a castle and everything's not in order and everything's so scattered and this stuff, but yeah, just encourage you with that.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Jenny, I think one of the things that stood out to me were just the strangers thrifting through your home and knowing you are such a giver and a servant of people. I think that you've had a tendency to default to other people and just kind of say, well, I'll let someone else take this on instead of stepping out. And it's kind of like taking the position of a servant and stepping back and letting someone else take something that God's made unique for you. And it's like God's bringing you to this awareness that this is for me, and kind of allowing you to know the seasons of when it's time to step into the forefront and when it's time to take a step back. But in this season, in this situation, God's saying, this is yours. This is unique to you and your family. And these are the mantles that I placed on you. And when I was reading this, I was wondering even if you and Julie are called to write a book, and that if God's giving you this vision to teach people about rest and intimacy, and you've stood back for a while and healed up resting and kind of wondering what your time is to go, and as you've been healing, and I think that God's just put so much into you to share with other people and teach them how to foster intimacy. And I also saw you doing more gardening and that being this special time between you and the Lord that you're sharing with each other too. But you're
so good.
in the soil of people's hearts.
Oh, that's really good. Really good, Faith. It's awesome. Makes me cry too. It's awesome.
Do you have any questions for us, or?
Well, it's just it's more maybe a statement. Faith knows this. I've been through a pretty tough season, and lost my daughter to cancer, and so I've been in a place of healing for a long time, and even before that. So it's everything that you guys are saying is just hitting the mark, because I feel like the Lord has been teaching me to all that kind of stuff. So I just feel like that was right on.
Could you repeat the last statement? Actually, you kind of froze for a second.
Cut out.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just feel like the Lord is kind of calling me out right now to kind of get past, to start to live again, and to kind of step out in faith, and like the whole idea of resting, just because what you guys were talking about with resting is, I feel like that's the season I've been in for a long time, and I'm realizing that God has placed stuff in my life. So that's been really good. So your interpretations, I'm just piecing them together in my mind. So
We'd like to give you a blessing. Sebastian, you want to start?
Yeah, of course. Jenny, I release more peace in your life. I pray for real, like, heartwarming peace, that you will connect with the Creator and be able to rest in His presence, and plan for the future, and rest up, and really help God give you the plans to navigate and get to the next checkpoint in the fastest way possible. So resting will not be wasted, like that you're not losing time, but you're actually making time, because knowing the path is knowing where to go, how to get there will help you get there quicker. So enjoy the rest, enjoy the peace, and because at some point you'll move on. So I release that. I want to add on to what I said before. I feel like so John Paul talked about how when he studied about the tabernacle, and that the Israelites would set up camp, and, like, set the tabernacle up, and that would take a long time. And there were times when they would make camp and break camp in the same day. So, but while the tabernacle is set up, we need to rest and enjoy the presence of God. And when it's time to break camp, we got to do it quickly and move on. So it's about, when it's time to make camp, you make camp. When it's time to break camp, break camp. So it's about God's orders. And if you're making camp, you have to be in the presence and enjoy God's presence fully. And when God tells you break camp, then we move on. So make camp and enjoy camp.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
It would have been, I'm realizing now, it would have been great to maybe share this beforehand, because so much of what I was seeing has been said just in conversations. But earlier, when Faith had mentioned being at the meeting with John Paul and him prophesying over you, I don't know if this was part of that prophecy, but it feels like it's an echo of a prophecy that you were given in that season of time, where you were told about a calling to ministry that was on your life, and it had to do with teaching, and it had to do with prophesying. And there was a picture that you put in your own head of what that would look like, but it has not come to pass in the way that you expected it to happen. And I feel like God is bringing that back, and in two different ways. In one way, you have actually fulfilled much of that word. It just didn't look the way that you thought it was going to look. You have been imparting truths into people's lives. You have said key things into people when they needed to hear it. And those things, the impartation of truth, the teaching gift, and speaking the words that people need to hear when they hear it, that prophetic gift, they come out so naturally out of who you are, and they really come out relationally in the way that you interact, and they can seem so normal, but they are the gifts that God has given you. But when Faith said something about maybe there's a book that you have yet to write, I'd actually thought that there was going to be a book that you have yet to write. Because there are things that you have, there are wisdom nuggets that you have grabbed hold of. There's so much that's in your life that you look around and you're like, well, why would anybody want to buy this? Would anybody pay for this? And yet people are drawn to it. They see the value in what has been deposited in your life. And you're coming into a season where that is coming to the front. People recognizing the value in you, recognizing the value of what God has put in you, and beginning to see that come out in a variety of ways. There are going to be opportunities coming up over the next 2 to 3 years. It feels like it's not that they'll end after that time period, but within that time period, you're going to start to see opportunities to share. And actually, it feels like it's going to start sooner, but it's going to start slowly. It'll be a trickle, but as it grows, you're going to be given opportunities to share in different circles, in different environments, and bring what you have. Realize that it's beautiful. Realize that it's not going to steal from that place of rest. And as Sebastian was sharing, just knowing when to pick up camp and when to follow the presence of the Lord and when to sit and rest. Because the promise of the dream is that you're going to have that beautiful space that God is reserving in your spiritual life to be with him, to rest with him, to have that, all of that life that's there, that's available, that is reserved. And it's in the process of you giving away to others that you discover how beautiful and how rich that is. And there's going to be a new richness to your quiet time. And there was a season of time where you would connect with the Lord in such an astounding way. And you've actually asked him if that was coming back, or if it would ever be the same, or you've asked yourself, like, I can hear that question, like, will it be like that again? And the answer is no, it's going to be better.
Oh.
It's going to be better than that. Those times that you had where you could hear his voice so clearly, you could feel his heart, those times where you would just cry as he began to put his heart upon your heart, those are coming back, but they're coming back at another level. And you're going to begin to infuse those things that he's sown into your life into others. And it's going to be a beautiful thing.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so good. On so many levels. And you were right about the John Paul Jackson prophecy too, by the way.
Awesome. Good.
Yeah.
And God's going to take you into his tabernacle, into where the priests were, where they had the Ark of the Covenant. He wants that kind of a closeness with you. And he's going to bring you into his presence like you've never even known before.
Oh, praise God. Oh, it's beautiful.
That's so good. I'm excited.
Oh, I'm like so excited. That is so my heart.
Thank you, Jenny, for coming on and sharing your dream with us. We enjoyed our time with you.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Bless you.
All right.
Bless you. Bye.
Bye. Bless you. Bye.
Bye.
So we are so honored, John, that you have joined us today. Thank you so much for being here. And I just want to let everybody know that if you're interested in learning more about the prophetic world of dreams, you can join John Thomas at the Streams Academy for online training at streamsministries.com. And may the God of creation, the creator of the sun, moon, and stars, show up in your dreams. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, now we can talk like regular people.